Should you be farming for a wolf hat? That is the question that I want to answer in this video. I like the hat myself, but I know that not everybody is so hot on it. So we're going to take a look at the stats, the possible builds, the comparisons, and what it actually entails to farm this thing, and then we'll make a decision. Here's the wolf hat in all its glory. It's obviously a super cool looking item, but is it actually worth crafting? Because we've got some pretty good stuff right now with the platinum staff as well as the Lohengrin sword. So it's definitely a very competitive space, and farming brutal quests can be kind of difficult. So let's take a look at the stats. But before we do that, of course, I always use WTVcalc.com for all my information. So thank you so much to them for that. Okay, so looking at the wolf hat, we've got different ways that you can build it. The vital is the one that doesn't make much sense to me at all because it's just such a low amount of HP for a piece of armor that I don't think you're going to build this. But then you have the aim and the shield, and the aim is what I see most people talking about because you can get 15 accuracy from the helm, and then you're going to get another 15 from a +5 from the bonus. So that's 30 accuracy total, and that's pretty sweet. But I actually like the shield version, which has the 14 defense, and then you still will get some accuracy. Plus, if you do a +5, it's actually 18 accuracy total, which is not bad at all. And then you also get dexterity on all of these different versions, which is very, very cool, and I'm a big fan of that. Okay, so what does it take to craft this wolf hat, you ask? Well, it's going to take you some Blissful Hearts, some Malboro Tentacles, Void Crysts, and then your armor books, and of course the recipes. And you might be thinking, I just was farming some of this stuff. That's because the Malboro Tentacles and the Void Crysts are also used for the Platinum Rod. So it's a major bummer if you just made one of those or were making one of those, and then now you have this crossover. So that's definitely going to discourage a lot of people from crafting one of these. But we do get super good drop rates from the Brutal Quest, but more on that later. So it's definitely your standard MR amounts. You have to farm quite a bit to do this. So I also want to talk about the Alexandrite ring because this is the major reason why people would not build a wolf hat. So the Alexandrite ring is an accessory. It can be equipped by any single unit, and they can still equip a nice piece of armor or a nice weapon as well. So it's really versatile, and not only that, it actually gives a lot of other stuff. So it can give you 20 accuracy opposed to the 15 straight from the wolf hat, and then it can give you up to 20 accuracy from the bonus on the +5, and then you also get the 5% increased resistance to all elements, which is pretty incredible. So this is clearly a way better item, but it is a UR ring that can be only farmed for during raids, so it's a lot harder for people to build, and there's some people that don't want to bother with the raid, so they're not really going to bother with this ring. And you can even use a +0 version of this ring. You can get the aim version and just have 20 accuracy and 5% to all your resistances, and that's still good, that's still fine. But the wolf hat, that might give you a chance to get some other stats as well. So there's definitely, this is the way to go, and this is why people are not keen on the hat, but it's only one option. Okay, and when you look at crafting a UR piece of gear, you can see it's insane. You need the same, like close to the same amount of Blissful Hearts, but then Joyful Hearts, you need almost 4,000. Like it's absolutely crazy. The books, you need 1,700. Like it's wild. Okay, so if you want to just go for defense, well then you could do the Mirage Vest, and that's going to be able to get you some 12 defense there and some magic resist. So if you're purely looking at the wolf hat for defense, then I mean there are some cheap craftable options, and when you craft an SR piece of equipment, it's going to be a lot less prohibitive in the books and all the other things, and you can actually farm all of the SR crafting materials from story quests as well. So that can be done anytime. You can work on it whenever you want if you have the energy. And then finally, there's also the platinum robe. I wanted to bring that up because that's also something that you would put on a cloth user that can't use armor, can't use helms. They can only wear cloth and hats. You might use this for defense. And with this, you're going to get 18 defense. So that's pretty good too. So this is obviously a really great piece of equipment, especially if you're looking for that defense, but it doesn't help the accuracy. It actually hurts the accuracy. It gives you missile resist. And this is, again, a UR raid item. So this is not accessible to everybody. But if you were really desperate for the defense, you could make a +0 of this with a fairly low commitment to raiding and try to max 18 defense on that. So just so you know, when I give my recommendation, there are other options for you. Okay, so the question is, should you build a wolf hat? Is it worth the trouble? Well, I think there's a couple of reasons why you would do it. The first being you need some accuracy gear and you're not really big on raids. So let's kind of put that into one column there. So new players that need accuracy gear to fight evade units, then the wolf hat might actually be for you if you're able to do the brutal quest. And if you're not big on raids at all, you always skip raids, and again, this might be a really good chance for you to get some accuracy gear. So for me, I actually want to build that defense version. So it's the shield version, because you get 14 defense and you're still going to get 18 accuracy if you +5 it. So for me, I think that's actually, it's pretty good. I'm going to put on Howlet. I don't really have a lot of armor for my cloth users, so I don't have a lot of ways to give them defense. So personally, for me, it's going to be worth an investment. But if you have something like a plat robe, if you have a lot of Alex rings, then maybe you don't need to get defense. And a lot of times, the cloth and hat wearers, they don't need defense because the whole point is that you have a tank to take the hate for them, so that they don't take any hits. So I don't think it's entirely necessary. I think this is definitely a piece of gear that you can skip if you need, but I'm personally working on a +5 shield version. Finally, I want to talk about the quest itself, because not everyone's able to farm a brutal quest, and the plan was to actually show you the quest itself and show some gameplay. Unfortunately, as of recording, the servers are down and are supposed to be down until tomorrow, and I wanted to get this video up early, so I'm not going to be able to show you my runs of this event, but I have been auto farming it. I'm very lucky to have a lot of fire units. So everybody in this level is an ice unit, and they're all weak to fire. So they're also weak to projectile and weak to magic. Although if you have somebody like Delita, he's still going to be really, really strong against these units. So if you have any projectile units, magic units, and fire units, then you're going to be really, really good to go for this quest. If you have units that are wind, then that's actually going to be really tricky to keep them alive in the farm, because Fenrir has a lot of AoE attacks and he can do massive damage to example Ayaka, so that can make it really tricky to use Ayaka as your healer, and you are going to want to have an emergency healer. Same thing with Halloween Leela, Howlet, and many other wind units. They're not going to be as good here. But you can use someone like Frederica as a gunner that has pretty good mobility, is going to be good in this fight. I used Frederica. So my party is Rain, Delita, Frederica, and then I also have Ildira, who's been an amazing healer, DPS, and then Salir was another healer, DPS. And I've been able to farm this quest. I started yesterday in the midday, and by night I already had 47 recipes, because the recipes in the brutal version drop really fast. And then I left my tablet on overnight farming, and I was up to 77 recipes this morning. So I already got all my recipes from a +5. It's just getting the rest of the materials, and I actually have everything except for my blissful hearts. So I'm just farming those blissful hearts, and then I'm going to be all done. So that's kind of the good thing about this, is that you can farm it in a couple of days if you really need to. If you can also work the multis if you don't have a very good party to solo it, and that's pretty amazing. So my advice to you is, you're working on a Lohengrin, you're working on a Plat Rod, finish those, and then you know, if there's a couple of days left, you have 3 days left and you have time to go hard, then yeah, you can reasonably make a wolf hat in that time. And if you don't, then you've just done some incredible farming for materials that are going to come back time and time again. And the drop rates for the Brutal Quest are really insane. They're so good. So I really have to recommend that. With the fight itself, I wanted to show you, but the best way to beat it, in my opinion, if you are playing manually, is to leave the Ice Elemental alone and then kill off the wolves and kill off Fenrir. The multiple waves of adds that come, they only spawn if you kill the Ice Elemental. So every time you kill an Ice Elemental, the next wave of wolves and Ice Elementals will appear on the map. So if you just leave that Ice Elemental alone, it's actually one of the weaker units on the map anyway, then you can easily take care of Fenrir and then take care of the other wolves as well. And then otherwise, make sure you have one person with Asuna, because Fenrir can paralyze you, and that's the biggest thing with the auto farming, is that sometimes, you know, if enough people get paralyzed, then you're going to have a bad run. But I left my game on all night, and I saw Frederica went down 3 bravery, and every single other unit just stayed the same, which was means that nobody was dying and staying dead for the length of the fight. So overall, it went well. So we asked, should you craft a wolf hat? And honestly, it is fairly skippable. I do think this is a really good opportunity to get some gear for new players that have a strong enough account to farm this event. I also think it's a really good chance, even if you have no intention of making a wolf hat, to just get Blissful Hearts, Malboro Tentacles, and Void Crests. Like, it's honestly, the drop rates are so good. So I do think that there is some validity to doing this brutal hard quest, and I hope that this has been useful to you. So let me know in the comments below if you are making a wolf hat, and if this video was useful to you. And then we'll see you next time, and hopefully the game will be alive and not down for maintenance.